I'm losing sleep, you guys. I am losing sleep because I've been following up on this really hot news. I don't know if you guys have been losing any sleep over the Beckhams.
I wouldn't call it losing sleep. Maybe losing a little bit of my mind, if that makes sense, because it's such a fascinating kind of strange subject. And what I find, well, to talk about it, firstly, just to sum it up. So the news that we're talking about is Victoria Beckham and David Beckham have a son named Brooklyn Beckham. And he got married to a lady named Nicola Peltz in 2022.
Okay.
And after that, there's been some kind of issues that the families had with each other. They are potentially alienated from each other, means the son and the daughter-in-law, and David and Victoria Beckham. So that is quite interesting, and it is fascinating. I think we, as much as we like to believe that we don't like to kind of go into other people's personal matter, because this is a personal matter, but it's fascinating for some reason.
Here's the thing, page 6, I love page 6 type of stories. Yeah. I love hearing about celebrities and their dirty laundry.
Why?
And here's the thing. Well, I'll tell you why. The Beckhams, this has been brewing for a long time, right? You said they got married in 2022. Mm-hmm. This has been going on since 2022. For the general public, we've had, kind of like not front row seat, but second row seat, I would say, because it was all rumors. Oh, there's rumors that why didn't Nicola Peltz wear the wedding dress that Victoria designed? Her mother-in-law is like a fabulous designer. Why would she not wear a wedding dress designed by her? Why would she wear a wedding dress designed by Valentino? Then it came out that there's some kind of a rift, right? This is like during the wedding. This is like 2022. I don't know if the Obamas were there. I mean, everybody was there all over town. Look, this was the wedding of the year. Then we find out the wedding planners sued the Peltz family over, some kind of issues during the planning. And then 4 weeks before the wedding, they had to get new wedding planners as well. So this wedding was very chaotic. Okay, very chaotic.
Why does it sound like familiar desi wedding?
That's why we're fascinated.
This is why it's fascinating.
That might be why we're fascinated.
It's a gift that keeps on giving. And all these years, it's been like drip by drip by drip. And then now the son just came out and just confirmed everything we've been reading so far. Right? He just like point blank said, yes, my mom was supposed to design her my wife's wedding dress. And there was but my mom canceled at the 11th hour, and we had to go scramble and get another wedding dress. And then there were some issues during the wedding, and etc. I mean, it's just he confirmed everything, and this is why I'm losing sleep, because it's just there's so much stuff to read up on.
But here's my question: so the son came out with all
when
this.
When you say came out, that sounds very.
It sounds
let's not use
interesting.
that.
But when he wrote
it's
on
a loaded
his
term.
on his social media post, and he wrote multiple paragraph essay, right?
You mean dried his dirty laundry? What is it called?
Yeah, aired his dirty laundry in public. Did Victoria Beckham or David Beckham, did they respond to that social media post?
So interesting. Have you guys heard of Davos? So recently all the leaders met in Davos.
Right.
And David Beckham was there, and he was just, coincidentally, I think he was scheduled to do an interview about social media use. And so he spoke about, if your kids post on social media and if they do some things that are wrong on social media, well, you just let them make those mistakes. It's okay. As a parent, you just... you just let them make those mistakes and you move on. Now, he didn't directly confirm that this is regarding Brooklyn Beckham and his recent post, but everybody, felt that may be a reference to
there's an
his
implied,
son. Right.
Yeah.
So if he's alluding to his son's post in this coded kind of language, that tells us their parenting style. Like, okay, well, let him make his whatever he needs to get it out of his system, let him, and we'll talk later. well, do we think that's a reasonable thing for a parent to do, or do you think if it was like your child or any of our children, would we do that? Would we just say, well, let them just write what they need to?
Certainly, at this age, yes. If my child was already married and an adulting in this world, I would certainly let them live their life the way they want, because the time for parenting is done.
Yeah.
That kind of parenting.
Right.
I would call it micro-parenting, when you get involved with everything that they do. At this point, if David was to get involved, they would be called controlling.
Yeah.
Right? So I think I agree with David. If I was in his place, I would do the same thing. But I think I am quite fascinated with why we are fascinated. And I wonder if non-desis look at it the same way. Rather than looking at just this is celebrity news, are they really zoned into the actual family drama? Which I think I can't help but in my mind compare to desi families. This is so desi family saas bahu type of drama thing that's going on in real life.
Yeah.
That's what's fascinating,
And
at
the
least
son
from
is
my
like
point
in the
of view.
middle going, do I go with
Well-
my partner or do I go with my mother?
Is
or
he in the
so-
middle?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it's him.
It's him. Is
You
the
know, but what's
drama
interesting,
creator.
think about this. Think about this with our desi mentality.
Yeah.
And not just desi, I think universally what we're
Yeah.
realizing is who is everybody blaming? Are we really blaming the son, or are we really blaming his wife and saying, oh, she must have caused this? She pulled him away from his family. He's not a baby. Yeah, he's a grown man.
Yeah.
So we automatically are taking sides, and we're taking the side of mother-in-law, where it's not even really the mother-in-law, is it? Could it be? I mean,
father-in-law?
he's cutting himself from the dad too. He's saying my parents have a brand that they want to protect, and they wanted me to not use my name or remove my right to be able to use my name before I got married. And I didn't go along with it, and they were upset.
Well, that can be a problem. Like if you have no right over your own name as a brand, that I think he's justified in being upset. But at the same time, we haven't heard the other side of the story. Was it really the case? Or is he just acting like a, I don't know, entitled brat?
If I was to look at just facts, and from what we know as facts, not knowing deep into each specific subject, I do blame the son. Because where I think blame lies here is the fact that he publicly wrote a statement. He got married in 2022. We're at 2026.
4 years.
What is happening? Why are we talking about this now? And 4 years later, where they're still airing their dirty laundry, Brooklyn is, right? And there is this certain sense of entitlement that I kind of sense when it comes to that. Because if you are having problems with your parents, by all means, if you think your parents are toxic or there's some problems with them, you can go ahead and not mingle with them or live your life the way you want. Why does it need to be publicly done? I think
Yeah.
that's
And
where I have a problem.
I'll tell you why. Because this is a very public family. And what he states is that they've been planting negative stories. In so many words, he's saying, they've been putting stories out in the media against my wife and I. And so I've had it. And so that's why I'm coming out and I'm speaking out against this.
But have
And
you
I
heard
would like
this?
my privacy.
But
by
have
the
you
way,
heard
at the
my
end, they
privacy?
all, this is very reminds me of the Prince Harry, Meghan Markle stuff.
Very
This is
much.
very similar. A lot of parallels here.
But have we heard Beckham, his parents planting stories on social media about their own child?
Well, we don't know.
No, I mean, he's saying social media. So do we know if they're
Well,
out there on
I
social
mean,
media?
social media or media. I'm saying social media, but generally in the public, they're planting stories about him
Okay.
through the media.
I don't know. I feel like he seems... I was watching that movie from 1980s, Baitab. And you know where Amrita Singh goes in, like a gas station thing? And
Right
she
at the
starts,
beginning.
Right at
Yeah.
the beginning, and she starts like shattering all the windows and beating up people and all that. To me, it sounds like that. Like, I need my service now. And if you can't give me what I want, then I'm just going to cause a whole bunch of this drama and, ruin everybody's life. To me, it's that mindset that, do you know who I am? And how dare you treat
you're
me
David
like this?
Beckham's son and
Yeah.
Victoria Beckham's son.
But
that's how
that's-
we know you.
Right.
But
We
don't
don't know you
forget-
for who you are. We know you
What do you
because
do?
you're their son. That's your, for as of now, that is his identity.
That's your identity.
But
yeah.
don't forget, the wife herself, Nicola Peltz, is the daughter of Nelson Peltz, who's like a huge celebrity, you could say, in the business industry. I mean, there's a whole podcast about how he wanted to be the next chairman of the Disney board. And there's a huge, he failed at it, but that's how famous he is in that sort of, he's a real Wall Street guy.
So my question is, what have these two accomplished to want so much attention and sympathy and everything from us?
Okay, so here's the interesting part. So when
Because I'm not ready to give it to them yet. They haven't achieved much in their life on their own yet.
when Brooklyn came out with this whole thing, right? So naturally, the ex-girlfriends are going to chime in too.
Of course.
Right?
Why not?
Or
Yeah.
the people of the past. So in this case, it was the family of Nicola Peltz's ex coming out to say, well, Nicola Peltz has been trying to become famous for the last 10 years.
there we go.
And now they want their privacy. And guess who that family was? It was the Hadids.
Bella
So-
Hadid
And Gigi Hadid
Gigi
have a
Hadid.
younger
Oh.
brother named Anwar Hadid. So Nicola Peltz dated Anwar Hadid back in the day,
And that's what
before she
he's
met
saying.
Brooklyn. Not him.
That's
His
what his
family
sisters
is
are saying.
implying
Oh,
is,
okay.
well, she's been trying to get famous for the last 10 years.
So
Why would they want privacy?
But that is where the point is, that these people want something. When you post such a huge content on social media, you are looking for something, either attention, some sort of gain, right? You're looking to gain something. Have they done anything on their own yet? That's my question.
I mean, he's got 16 million followers, right? Today
they
he had
gained
17,
followers.
17 million followers.
So
So
he
he's
a million follower.
he's trying to gain more attention. And guess what? Now there are so many different videos out. Are you team Beckham? Are you team Peltz Beckham? Okay.
Because others are also trying to gain followers. So if they put that content, they're also hoping to gain. They don't care about Team Beckham or Team, Son.
No, but people are voting in though. People
Yeah, so
who
it's-
they're not unaffected by
But
it.
I think
They're
when I
chiming
say,
in.
have you achieved anything, I'm not talking about have you gained followers. I'm talking about what have you done in your life? David Beckham, we know what he's done in the soccer world, right? We know Victoria Beckham is so much talented in so many ways. What have these two people done yet? Besides the followers. I don't care
and
about
even
the
the
followers.
parents, like when you say Peltz and you say Peltz family has done this, or the father is some kind of, hey, I wasn't, you said you must know, because I follow a lot of the business stuff. I've never heard of him.
I've never heard of
so
him either.
He's not the top dog. As far as he might be gazillionaire, I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about name recognition. He doesn't have that kind of name recognition that a person like me would know him. Okay. So at this time, what we have is both of them are keeping
I
their
knew
last
about
names.
him, and I don't even follow the business industry
But
that
hear
much.
me out. So both of them are keeping their last names. If they're so bothered with Beckhams, drop the name. Drop the name.
Be
That's-
yourselves.
you know what? That says more than any social media post will say. If he dropped the Beckham name, because he's like, you know what? I don't need it. I'm fine. I don't think you guys are good for me. I'm going to stick to the Peltz name. Keep the Peltz name. If Peltz name bothers you tomorrow, drop that too. You could be Nicola and Brooklyn. Party of two. Let's see how that goes. I would love to see that.
But why should it be? Why should he have to drop? That is his name, though. Like, why should he have to drop his last name?
What I'm saying
That's
is
how
the
he
name
was raised.
The name recognition is there because of his parents and
He's
what they
benefiting.
accomplished.
He's benefiting from the parents' brand.
If he was Nicholas Smith, we would not be talking about it. We're talking about it too. You know, that's the fascinating. We're talking about people who are covering them. We're covering them too. We're fascinated as well.
So let me ask you this. Why does this just hit a nerve with the desi community? Because it seems like more than anybody, we saw a lot of memes come out about this situation.
Oh my God. Have
I think
you
it's
seen
family
them?
drama?
Have you seen them? So everyone, there's like some Massies. There's this one girl that was really funny, and she's like Nicola Beckham. She was pretending to be Brooklyn the Massie, and she's like Vicky. Tere munde ne anj kita, tere munde ne wo kita. It was really funny. And there's, Hindi memes as well. There's tons of Punjabi memes. There's tons of Hindi memes
Because it sounds like
this.
a soap opera. That's
But you
why.
know what? I can't help but think about it like Beckham and Bachchans. Like for some reason, for me, I take that leap to Bachchans and all of the family drama that we've been fascinated with over the last, I would say, about 3-4 years since Aishwarya and Abhishek, are having problems. And it seems very similar because it's, again, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, father-in-law, son type of situation. And I wonder, there are any parallels that we see with those two families?
There's definitely like the way they portray Jaya Bachchan on media. She's always this angry person who's always like...
Because she is.
Well, no, because I've heard other things too. From her own kid, they say this is all like a show. She's not really like that, but she comes across like that.
But she actually says things that are very mean and rude. So
She said that that's her shtick. Like, people wait to, like, paparazzi wants that.
They want that. That's become sort of a
do you
caricature
guys believe
of her.
that?
Yeah, I do.
Well, what's her name? I think it was Neetu Singh who said in one of the interviews that somebody asked her, well, is Jaya Bachchan really like that in person? And she said, no. She's not like that. She just does that. And she said, I think the paparazzi, they get a kick out of it when she does it. And, probably that's good footage for them too.
Exactly.
Like, oh, look at her, Jaya Bachchan angry again, throwing a fit. And it helps for them when they post those videos, probably get more views on those.
Yeah.
No, but like, why is Jaya Bachchan doing that? What does she gain out of it other than bad publicity?
I think partly there's already something there where she is like there is something there where she is annoyed, but she will go ahead and be blunt about it. Whereas some people may shy away from being blunt about it because they're too concerned about how they'll be perceived. She just goes ahead and says it. There is probably a bone there. Some people are just grumpy. Right? They're not bad people, but they're grumpy.
They're grumpy.
Right? And you wait to hear something grumpy from them. You don't necessarily dislike them over it, but they're grumpy. And so I think she is grumpy. There's a video of her she was sitting on a panel or something, and she was getting upset with some lady recording her, and she was very mean to her. I think that was a genuine reaction where she was being rude. But when you see the paparazzi stuff, I think at this point, everyone's like, hey, when's your aap gali kab denge? They're waiting for
But I think coming back to the topic of why are we fascinated? Why is the desi community so fascinated with the Beckham story? And you related it to the Bachchan story, that there are some parallels. It seems like the characters, like Beckham and Amitabh Bachchan, and then Jaya Bachchan and Victoria Beckham, and they have this son, right? And they have this famous girl that is getting married into the family.
Has gotten
married into the family. And now there's issues, right? But I think there's also this like Sas Nu or Sas Bahu, or there's songs people sing, and there's dramas and all that. But if you think about it, that's mother-in-law, daughter-in-law rivalry or conflict. It cuts across cultures. I was watching Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, yeah.
And the mother-in-law, daughter-in-law conflict is there. But then when the mother-in-law talks about her mother-in-law, she's like, oh, that woman, right? So it's like it goes generation back. So what are the dynamics? Why is that rivalry and conflict there to begin with, right? What's happening there?
Oh, just to step back just a little bit before we move forward to that. But I just wanted to point out what's fascinating and why we are so into these stories is that it makes them human. You're like, oh, ghar ki kahani. This is something that I can relate to because my sister's mother-in-law or something is going through the same thing, or my cousin's family is going through the same thing, or whatever. There's always like somebody or so out there can relate to it. And so everybody feels connected to these stories.
They're like, oh yeah, been there, done that.
And based on their past experience, they will pick a side. Like, oh, it's always the mother-in-law, or it's always the
Always the
daughter-in-law,
daughter-in-law,
it's
yeah.
always the son, or something like that, right?
But
There's always going to be something.
I think also that mother-in-law, daughter-in-law probably stems from how a woman's initially, from before women stepped into careers and got the voting rights and all of that, their role was seen as you are the caretakers of the family, right? This is the home that you have to keep, you have to manage the household. And so now all of a sudden there's this other woman steps inside that same space. The mother-in-law feels like this person now is encroaching in my space. I keep my plant over here. And that's where the, couch goes. So I think when somebody else comes in and if they make any kind of changes, the mother-in-law is not ready for those changes. So it's a like, who's the lady of the house now? So it's that question, like, no, I've been the lady of this house for last 30, 40 years. Who are you to come and tell me how things should be lived? And same thing, vice versa. Nowadays, if you have daughter-in-law and mother-in-law comes, let's say she comes to even visit, and if she changes some things, it's gonna even you may not react, but at some part of your brain is gonna feel bothered by it because there's that phenomena of I'm the lady of the house.
It's so funny. My friend had exactly what you're describing, kind of a similar situation where the mother-in-law, and this happens to a lot of desi families where the parents will come in once a year for a couple of months. So the mother-in-law would come in every summer. And whenever she came in, she would make sure to change some things. So she will take like this vase that's sitting there and take it from this side to that side. And she would change some of the drawers in the kitchen and where the mixer was sitting or whatever, like just about 4 or 5 things. And then when the mother-in-law left, the daughter-in-law would put those things exactly where she wanted them. And but every year the mother-in-law would come, and it almost like it's a passive-aggressive behavior by both parties, in fact. But at the same time, I would say, well done, because even though it's passive-aggressive, it's not aggressive-aggressive. And in that situation, you can literally have a fight that lasts years because one thing was moved, and suddenly it can turn into a really bad situation. So in a way, both of them kind of assert their dominance whenever they can and let the other party do it too.
She's really smart in letting her just kind of do your thing, whatever. When you leave, I'll put it back the way I want it.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, it's my house. So, like, okay, you can have fun for a little bit.
I mean, this is the advice that I remember mom giving me, or, we learned through example. And she had mentioned that, when our grandmother came to visit and she was there for like a summer and she would do things her way, right? And obviously, if you have your kitchen, everybody who's had their kitchen set up a certain way, there's a certain system in place for a reason. When someone moves things around, it is uncomfortable, but knowing that here's somebody who's staying for a little bit, let them do their thing. They're older, let them get comfortable. And once they leave, I will put things back. And I've kind of abided by the same thing. When my in-laws come to visit, they move things around according to their comforts, and that's fine with me. And once they leave, I put things back the way they were previously. And that works out just great. Now, I think it may be hard if somebody has an older person who comes to stay with them for a long period of time. At that point, I think, what is the solution for something like that? What would you say is the solution?
Or the younger person goes to live with their older relatives.
Either way,
right?
So let's say like in-laws, right? Like let's say mother-in-law, father-in-law, son, daughter, they're all living under one roof.
Like a multi-generational family.
How do you manage with that?
The problem is, I think intentions matter. If someone has good intentions, they're not going to nitpick and they're not going to make someone walk on eggshells. But if someone doesn't, I can be the most perfect person who comes to stay with you or do whatever. And the person who doesn't have good intentions will find things because none of us are perfect. Even our perfect, what is the definition of my perfect, may not be the perfect for my mother-in-law or vice versa. So the problem is it's all about intentions. And if someone's looking for problems or looking to create problems or start something, then there's nobody stopping them. There's no way. You cannot be. One thing I notice in our desi community is they always say that when girls get married, and generalizing, of course, when a girl goes they say, okay, you're going to your in-laws' house, you need to make sure you're following their rules. If you put tomatoes in gobi and they don't put tomatoes in gobi, because that's going to throw everyone into a frenzy. Like, why are there tomatoes in gobi? Whatever it is. Like, it's usually something very minor.
That's a no. That should not happen.
See?
There should not be tomatoes.
But I bet you...
Tomatoes in gobi? I do.
Okay, well.
I didn't know I wasn't supposed to. I didn't even know
you
I
wouldn't.
wasn't
Like
supposed
gobi
to.
aloo, you wouldn't put tomatoes in that.
Oh, I do. Okay. So I
But
should
just
stop.
Well, I don't know. Where did you learn it from?
You just
Other
I
moms
just
never
make
did.
every sabji the same way. Like,
You
there's
just
always
offended
an
half
onion.
the audience.
There's always an onion and there's always tomatoes. I just assumed you put
no,
tomatoes.
you wouldn't put. So.
Okay.
But I'm just again. I'm saying you wouldn't. But at the same time, you might be like, but I like it.
Now I've gotten used
No,
to the taste of tomatoes in the gopi, so I'm
It's all
just going to
good.
continue.
But we always put that burden of appeasement on the daughter.
Yeah.
In a desi community.
It does,
Okay.
yeah.
So there's no one who says to a mother-in-law, hey, when you go to visit your daughter-in-law, she doesn't like tomatoes in her gobi. Again, I
Or
don't
your
know.
daughter-in-law's coming to live with you. She doesn't
Like
like
it,
tomatoes, so now
change
you're going to
you.
have to stop.
Would the whole household change? So
Probably
it's the burden is always on the daughter. And that to me is a problem. It's a passive aggressive way of saying, in the hierarchy, you are like down here.
Because you're a newcomer.
You're a newcomer. And I remember watching that movie called Lapata Ladies,
Yeah.
where one of the ladies, and she was older lady, and she said she likes this certain sabzi, and she stopped eating it because her in-laws or her family, her husband, doesn't eat it anymore.
Yeah.
And so that to me was like that minor, like a point that she made that spoke to a lot of women. And how you kind of diminish yourself and your taste. So at the same time, going back to the mother-in-law, daughter-in-law dynamic, if there is a mother-in-law out there who cares what her daughter-in-law, even though she's come to her house, that she likes pindi and she doesn't like gobi and those kind of things, little things. If she cares about that, and I think if she shows a little bit of that, I think that would speak volume. And I wish our desi community does care about this young girl who's coming into the household and her taste.
I think when the two sides,
Yeah.
okay, like the mother-in-law, father-in-law, you have to say, hey, they've got a system going. Let's say, the daughter-in-law is coming to live with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
Assuming that she is
99% of the time happens in India.
in India, but even over here it happens
sometimes,
but not
yeah.
as regularly, but it does happen. Whether it may not happen immediately, it may happen later on in life. Well, later on in life it's usually reversed, right? It's the son and the daughter-in-law have a home and the parents may move in because
Later.
they're older.
Yeah.
Right. So regardless, they're all under one roof. I think both sides have to be accommodating of each other, understand what each side's needs are. Now, obviously, if you're going to have your parents come live with you, you have to be accommodating of their needs. We do see some situations where the parents are older, they come to live with their kids. The kids don't really want to create or make a change
Space
to
for them.
accommodate for them,
Yeah.
right? So the parents are like, okay, if you're going to watch that drama, you go do it in your room at night. So the parent has to watch it in their room, or if they want to be their family, then they have to sit with everybody and watch some, I don't know, some violent
Basketball
film.
game or
Yeah,
violent
there's
film,
something
yeah.
that they're not interested in, and then they feel like they can't really provide any input. Maybe it's in English, maybe they don't understand English very well, so they feel very left out. Right? They're excluded from that conversation. So I think that sort of accommodating has to happen from both sides. And you mentioned intentions. I think intentions
Which is
are
very
really important.
But I think also and coming from the Desi community, I'm going to go in a little bit in the area of the morality that we hold, right? So when we use English terms like, I'm going to need to accommodate them, that almost doesn't sit well with my ears because in my mind, because when they were raising the children, they didn't say, I'm accommodating you in my life, in my household, right? You just had all this space. You were just like these cherished children, right? You were part of the family. Nobody was accommodating you. You weren't accommodating anyone. Now, all of a sudden, when the parents are older, we start using terms like we need to accommodate them or we need to adjust our lifestyle instead of saying, you know what, this is our life. They are part of this, and this is how this is what it's supposed to be like.
Accommodating is accommodations, like providing their own comforts. As kids, when we look at, let's say, parents versus kids, when parents were raising their kids, there was a set system. The kids had to abide by certain rules that the parents set.
Right, but then we don't necessarily have to have now parents abide by rules. But I see what you're saying. You're saying accommodations versus accommodating, meaning maybe the bathtub needs to be remodeled in a certain way so that we are accommodating the fact that they can't they can't step over the bathtub anymore. I understand. Yeah, I think that part
and especially in a desi family, I think the kitchen is a real touchy subject because, any woman who has a kitchen sets their kitchen up a certain way. I should not just say women, men also, right? The kitchen is set a certain way between that couple, right? The homeowners, I'll say. And then when the person is coming in, they will have certain needs. Let's say if it's a son and a daughter-in-law, they cook mostly American food. Now the parents are coming in every morning. They have to have roti, right? That's what they eat. They don't cook meat. So now they're going to ask their kids who might not be vegetarian, hey, don't cook meat here because we will not eat in a kitchen where meat is being cooked. There's other layers to it, right? So the adjustment, that is hard. It's easier said that, we'll accommodate them, but that every day, how do you
have to change.
function?
Yeah.
That's gonna ruffle some feathers.
It's interesting. One thing I'm noticing is, and what Benita said earlier, that why are we using words like accommodating or adjusting, right? For parents.
Or even the words like I'm taking care of my parents. It's like they might be taking care of you at this time too. You may not realize
But what I'm saying is those words that you were insinuating are somewhat negative leaning. If we use the same words for a new bride, hey, we're going to accommodate her and we're going to take care of her, we would look at that as very positive. We would say, oh, wow, they're going to accommodate, like this girl's coming, they're going to accommodate, they're going to take care of her. Wonderful. But the same words used for elderly, you're looking at them as negative. And that in itself shows me that the value of a younger person, especially a younger woman in our society, Desi society, is very, very low.
But we are happy. If I'm going into as a newcomer in, let's say, another family, if they say, first of all, they don't outright say we're going to accommodate you. But if I feel like I'm
being accommodated,
I would still feel awkward. Like from my end, I would feel awkward. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Why can't I just be myself? Why are they having to say, or why is it being communicated non-verbally that they're having to accommodate me? Right?
I think maybe these logistics need to be worked out before somebody gets married, especially if it's like a young daughter-in-law moving into her in-laws. I think these are conversations that a couple needs to have, because if the daughter-in-law agrees to move in with the guy's parents, the adjustment is going to be on her because they've already got a thing going, right? They've got like that family is already functioning. You're entering that functioning family system. And so mentally, it's important for her to understand that this is not going to be like her parents' house. This is not like, I'm sorry, that's the dark reality.
Why?
But it's not. Because if
some don't have that option, though.
Hold on. Let me explain.
Yeah.
If someone is coming into my house, the way it's functioning, right? Every morning we start, let's say 7 a.m., we have our tea. At a certain time we eat. A certain time we have dinner, whatever, right? And Mondays we do this, Fridays we do this, whatever. That's the system in place. She is coming into the system, okay? We love you. This is the system. Come join it, okay?
But what if she wants to change the system?
Here's the thing. The adjustment, for her own peace of mind, okay? She needs to understand she's coming into a system. if you're going into that family and you're going to live with them, that's the system that's already running. Now, for the family that's there with that functioning system, they need to be, they should try to accommodate her, understand what her needs are, and try to figure out a way for everybody to move together. Because if she says, well, look, I wake up at 9 a.m., I don't want to hear any sound before 9 a.m., that's a problem for me.
You make her sound like a brat, but
I'm
let's
not.
just say normal person.
But look, I'm saying if she doesn't want that, she should, the couple need to understand that maybe we should not be living with them. If she doesn't want to tolerate that, if she can't put up with that and she's not ready to bend according to that system, then she should not be in that system. And I don't fault her for it, but that's just for her own safety and her own peace of mind. She should not agree to that.
But let's say if the tables were turned. Let's just say that instead of her waking up at 9 a.m., the family woke up at 9 a.m. And they said, and she was this pious woman. Let's just imagine.
She has to go to work.
No, but wait a minute. Let me just set up this narrative.
In her sari?
She's just in her sari. She's
the white
beautiful.
One
Yeah.
Okay.
And she does puja in the morning. So at 6:30 a.m.
It's like a Z drama.
Yes, she's a perfect bahu, okay? And she's going to wake up at 6:30 and she's going to do puja really quietly because she's that
she
kind
will
of...
ring the bell.
Wait. No, we're making her very accommodating. She normally would ring the bells and stuff, but now she's like, okay, I'm into this family. They don't wake up till 9. I'm going to quietly do puja. But that means she gets up and there's some like bartan, she gets some water or whatever. And the family gets, you're into our system and you need to get into our system. And that means you must stay in bed till 9. And no, but let's just say that's the case, okay? Because it could happen, right? So she's required to stay in bed till 9. And actually, they don't go to sleep till 12 at night. And that's their schedule, okay? So in your, what you were saying, would you say then the daughter-in-law needs to like change her habits? And
that's not what I'm saying. That's not my point.
Yeah.
My point is, don't move in with them.
But
she needs to understand that is a problem.
But
if she doesn't want to adjust, then the couple should not be moving in with the parents. If they're not going to make space for her, then don't move in. But if you're moved in, then you have to understand that the family that has the system going, you gotta go along with that.
But I get your point that make a wise, informed decision before you take the step. But most girls, let's say, go back to the India, Pakistan, those countries, they may not have the option to make that choice. Once you get married, that is the place you're going to. There is no option. And it's a very difficult shift for a young lady who might be 22, 23-year-old, let's say. Here you were the baby of the family.
Spoiled.
And maybe not even spoiled, but you just didn't have as many. You weren't the lady of the house.
You were loved.
And you were not in charge of making sure everybody's breakfast is ready and chai is ready. All of a sudden, you're put into this family, and all of a sudden, the way people perceive you now is so different than what you just were last week. Right?
But
that is a very difficult shift.
Expected to be wise
but
somehow.
Look, that is India, Pakistan. And I'm probably not referencing that because culturally that is different. Okay. That is different. They don't have a choice. Okay. But in America, there are still families where the young couple that get married, they move in with the parents. What I'm saying is that if you are going to do that in the United States, Canada, whatever, right?
Make an informed
decision, because over here the couple do have a choice of not living with the parents. But if a guy insists, no, this is the system, this is how it's going to be,
then you should leave him.
You should leave him. No, absolutely.
So here's I have a lot of information about this because I happen to know a lot of young ladies. Okay, my daughter's friends, my own friends, and this is coming up a lot lately where the couple likes each other and they get to a point where they're starting to talk about potentially moving forward. And one thing, a stickler, one point of contention seems to be exactly that, where the boys are saying, hey, I would like you to live with my parents because I live with my parents and they want to live with the bahu. And so I'm expecting you, this girl who was born here, brought up here, to now live in my joint family as a joint family system. And the girl, of course, even if she has good intentions, the idea is it freaks her out, and they break up. So I've seen at least 3 examples of it in the last 2 years, where that is the exact reason for a breakup.
Which is why, first of all, good on them.
Yeah.
Because if this is not something that the girls can handle, get out of that situation. You don't need it. But if the parents are accommodating, they have to make her feel comfortable. They obviously did not make those girls comfortable.
No, but this is
in those
didn't
situations.
even go there yet.
Well,
your parents
okay,
aren't even met yet.
Well, if that was the situation, I'm talking about if it's serious and the parents, they're going to move in with the parents. The parents have to already, set the bar that we are going to be accommodating. We are going to be here for you guys. Look, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing when parents are involved in the relationship of the kids, when they are very encouraging. Like they will actually guide the son or the daughter in that relationship. It's a beautiful thing. They can actually help bring the couple together and solidify that relationship even further.
Well, here's the thing. Let's talk some numbers. So multi-generational families have a lot of benefits, right? The benefits are that you have heritage that can be, there's a lot that you learn from grandparents being around, and that should not be taken for granted, because parents themselves cannot give everything to their children that also grandparents can, right? So that should be stated. So multi-generational, that intergenerational relationships and dynamics are really important for the overall health of your family, for heritage, for learning, understanding, learning from their experiences, etc., right? And obviously there are challenges too. But in United States, for example, they did research, and this is the Pew Research, which said that now the number of multi-generational families has actually quadrupled since 2020, since the 1970s. Okay, and this was the research done around 2021, 2022. They said it's 4 times more that people are living multi-generationally. The increase in the multi-generational households is due to the fact that there's more Asian immigrants. Also, African-American families tend to live in multi-generational settings also. There's Hispanic families, so all these non-white households tend to be multi-generational. And there's a reason for that too. Not just that we love our parents more. It's not that. It's that, well, culture could play part of it. There's certain expectations, but there's also it's a layer against poverty.
It's financial.
Okay? It's financial. It protects you from falling into traps of financial ruins, basically, because now everybody's pulling in their resources, and you can be in a house and you can have that shelter and food and the basic needs.
I wonder if like the age, the age of does it improve someone's age if they live in a multi-general like their life expectancy? Yeah.
Okay.
Does that improve if they live in a multi-generational family? And the reason I say that, the reason I speculate, and I would think that it probably does, because just being with the younger generation and playing with kids as an elderly person, it keeps them engaged. It keeps them, on their feet, exercising mentally, physically.
Well, you have a role that you're playing now. You're not just this person who's retired and you've lost your driver's license, and your choice is just to sit home and watch TV. You have an important role in that family. So that self-fulfillment is important, I think, for that healthy lifespan.
I think if done right, with consideration for the elderly, the young people, the children, the women, the men
Yeah.
in the family, I think multi-generational families can have a lot of benefits, especially for the elderly. There's no
for
question
kids,
about it.
And for children.
Yeah.
Because you come home, you're not a latchkey child who's opening the door, coming in, and eating fish sticks from the microwave. I'm referencing Gen X who were latchkey kids.
We did it, yeah.
We were latch. That was our characteristic. We were the sandwich generation. Make a sandwich, right? Multi-generational families, the parent who goes to work doesn't have to worry that my child is now sitting at home unsupervised. Or if the child is sick, you don't have to take days off. Your parents are there to take care of your child. So there's benefits both ways. And for older, for the children, for the middle, let's say the immediate parents of those children.
Yeah.
I see more benefits than disadvantages.
But I think where it becomes very stressful is that in traditional families, right? That traditional sort of thinking that the daughter-in-law is going to cook breakfast and dinner
Lunch and dinner, yeah.
and go to work
I don't know
also.
if that's true.
But that is a reality for
still true.
many women out there.
know.
Yeah.
Where
What do you mean you don't know? It's
because like when and that I might be exception to the norm, that when my in-laws come, they pretty much, I would come home and the dinner was ready.
because you have a younger mother-in-law. Now imagine if you have a mother-in-law who's, a little bit older, living here,
But that could be
the
also your own
expectation-
parents, right?
It's
Yeah.
exactly.
That
And
is true.
in best case scenario, it's your parents, which doesn't happen.
that's
for
a
girls
different
lot.
generation
Yeah.
living with you.
I mean, if you do have a multi-generational family, you will have situations where more falls, and I'm speaking generalizing. I'm not speaking, there's exceptions to every rule, but most of the time it's the women who are expected
Yes,
to
for sure.
cook breakfast. And I bet you, and I'd be willing to, people, please comment if, what your situation is, especially women, because a lot of them do expect that there would be food cooked in the morning and there would be lunch already cooked. And then dinner, when they come back home from work, they're cooking dinner.
I think that tends to be just a pressure that women in general globally are facing. That because now they're working outside the home, almost expected to now, right? You don't have a choice. Single income doesn't run
cut
the
it, yeah.
household anymore. So you have to have two people working. But that pressure of also making sure everybody's needs are met kind of falls on women right now more than it falls on men. Even like simple thing, if a guy, it's a weekend, the husband says, I'm going to go out with my friends. They just pick up their keys and they go, I'll see you at 8:00 at night. When a mom has to leave with younger kids or older parents who they are taking care of, she can't just pick up her keys and go. She's going to be like, okay, so-and-so is going to need this, and so is going to need this. I'm going to make sure there's enough lunch and stuff so that everybody So you have to do a lot before you can go out with your
Just
friends.
make sure everybody's taken care of before
Yes.
you can just exit that situation.
And I resent that part. Like, why can't I pick up my keys and just go? Like, bye, everybody. See
Maybe-
you later. I think now I'm starting to do that, but not when you have like somebody who depends on you for care. You can't just pick up your keys and go. But if I wasn't taking care of somebody, then I would pick up. I guess then anybody would pick up their keys and
That's
go.
the thing. At the end of the day, women, we even for you to declare that
Yeah.
now I sometimes do that, that's an exception to the rule.
Yes.
That's why you're saying that.
Exactly.
So it's something to celebrate, yes. But for men, it's a given. It's a given
They
that they
can
pick up
just
their...
go.
And even their own parents. And this is what I find really fascinating about men in general, that they, even if they're living with their own parents, their own mom and dad,
Even then
they
they
don't
can-
take care of their own parents.
Yes.
Forget about in-laws. And
Right.
whereas women are expected to take care of their in-laws and in certain situations their own parents.
Mm-hmm.
So they are taking care of two generations. Two elderly,
Two
potentially
sets of
couples,
elderly,
two sets of parents. Whereas a man, the expectation is that the girl will take care of
That's
it.
a lot of pressure.
It is.
That's
And-
a lot of pressure.
But that's common.
You
This is-
see
yeah.
some women functioning at that level, and I just don't know how they do it.
Because it's like this. It's like this. And I did single motherhood for most of my life, so I know how that is. It feels, I mean, everything's on you. You're basically looking at your life like you're running a race, and you're not allowed to stop. And you just keep running. And you have the momentum with you, you got your system, and you really don't even know how to relax anymore. And so that's just how most of these women who are taking care of the in-laws and the kids and the husband and working full-time, that's what they're doing.
And you have to become really good at time management and really good at multitasking and really good at, basically you are the most talented person in that household.
And sometimes their work is their leisure time.
Yes,
Unfortunately,
yes.
that's true. That's true.
I remember when my children were babies, I loved them. I missed their baby years. But so there were some days when you go to work and you're like, okay, thank God I'm at work now. Because that, to me, that's like...
Because work is less work.
Because in some situation, work was a different kind of work, you can say. It just like it has a different momentum.
You're dealing with
to it.
adults, first of all. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that a lot from ladies, from friends, where they'll say, like, going to work is taking a break. Imagine that. Now, I would say to the men who are listening that imagine if you made that statement, going to work is me taking a break. And some of them will say that's true because they don't want to deal with their kids or the kids were too noisy. But were you cooking for them? Were you taking care of them? If you were, good for you and great job. But every other woman is doing the same thing.
It's expected.
All the time.
And I want to say, like, the person I'm married to, my husband, he pitches in fully. Like, I don't have to worry about food. I don't have to worry about cooking. He knows what my schedule is and what my needs are, and my tea is there. I can start working, and the tea just comes in the room. The food is there. So there's a lot of help, but I can't imagine if I didn't have that help, I wouldn't be able to accomplish half as much that I'm able to accomplish because there's a partnership. There's a healthy partnership.
There is a lot of beauty. I've seen some beautiful relationships with families where, the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, the sons, their daughter-in-laws all living under the same roof. But it does take the mother-in-law to make sure that, hey, let's make sure my son and my daughter-in-law have a little alone time. They have their own time. Encourage them to go take vacations on their own. Go do your own thing, Like that sort of facilitation coming from the top, like, right? The parents setting the tone because it's their house.
Yep.
That really helps to solidify that relationship.
That's important,
that
yes.
boy is not going to be going around cheating or doing other things because he's also realizing how important his wife is within that family too. And it's unfortunate that I have to say that, but there are, that sort of takes it to another level. That relationship goes to another level. That's just, where it's kind of like, I can't think of a better word instead of like a sibling, but it's like, that's a relationship that divorce can't break. Like there's no breaking of that relationship. There's no crack in that relationship.
So if
families are kind of bonding together,
but that's interesting because now if we think of a different topic here, we're talking about family bonds, right? What happens in case of, let's say, surrogacy? Right? Let's talk about surrogacy because we talked about Amitabh Bachchan, Beckham, all these famous people, but then there's these famous people who are also doing this other, engaging in this other procedure, which is surrogacy, for whatever reasons, right? We don't know the reasons because that's not public information, but we tend to see a lot of famous people, maybe because they can afford it. But like, for example, Priyanka Chopra's daughter was born through surrogacy, right? And we actually know some people in personal life whose kids were born through surrogacy because of medical reasons, right? So how do those bonds form? Let's talk about that. So
or even adoption, but surrogacy is more fascinating because it's such a new subject. Yeah.
Yes, I think we haven't talked enough about that. And I don't think we've talked enough about adoption either. But let's dive into surrogacy. So if I have my child through, like, someone else carries the child to the term, and I just kind of get this baby delivered to me. How do I bond? Do they bond?
How does the family bond to it? How did the
how does it work?
And the
Let's
parents,
discuss.
how did they feel about it? Because they're going to have input in a desi household as well.
I just wonder, like, if you have an elderly, let's say 90-plus-year-old person, how do you explain surrogacy to them? Because they've never probably seen anything like this, So they're like, they might look at it more like an adoption, I wonder, because they might not understand that this is still, the bloodline is still the same. So it is fascinating. I wonder if anybody's...
I think, here's what I think. I think 90-year-olds are a lot more welcoming about those things because if somebody's lived a long life, they've seen a lot of things that they never guessed would have happened in the world. So when a 90-year-old learns about something, some new technology, something like, this is advancement in science that allowed this surrogacy to exist, they probably won't bat an eye. They would say, okay, well, this is what happened. You'd be surprised. People assume that people who are elderly are going to be opposed to something, whereas I think people who are of that older generation are a lot more open-minded about certain things.
But medically speaking, though, there's now bioethics involved. Not just the, would our elders accept a child, but the bioethically, I'm thinking like they see, well, let's talk about medical first. Let's say you're carrying your own child, right? You are pregnant with your own child. When that, especially the first child, the children leave their DNA, part of their DNA through umbilical cord, goes to the mother, and it gets it gets embedded in the tissue and organs, and it kind of spreads. So, and it actually helps the mother fight a lot of diseases. Okay, so the next child, let's say you're now expecting your second child, some of the cells from the older child are gonna become the biology of the second child too. So not only the first child leaves stuff in their mom from their birth, they're also impacting their next siblings. So I've impacted all of you.
So, and I've got a little bit of everybody. Yes. I'm made up of a little bit of everybody.
So that's it. That's what they say. Like as a mother, biologically, you are literally chemically, you are bonded with this child, very strongly bonded with your children because you actually share biology, right? No wonder, because you were inside your mom. Of course, you're going to share biology. But in the case of surrogacy, now that child is leaving their cells in the surrogate mother, not their own mother. So I'm just wondering how they see people think about that. Let's say if somebody hears this medical facts, would they go for surrogacy?
Maybe you shouldn't have said all that.
So I think
about it. If a surrogate mother now who's done her role, she played her role, she gave birth to your child, she gave you the child, she's got these cells from your child in her body.
And she's going to be stronger because of it.
Exactly. And now she's is contracted for another child's birth.
Yeah.
So she takes another. Now your children's cells are being passed on to some other child somewhere else.
Yeah, but we're really getting into the weeds of things.
Well, I am. I'm getting into the weeds of things because these are things that we should be thinking about.
No,
like, what are we doing?
I think what we need to, those are things to consider. I think if we just step back and we just look at surrogacy in general, okay, the virtues of surrogacy, right? What is surrogacy, first of all?
Basically, if a mother, for whatever reason, cannot or does not want to carry the child, then
or cannot medically carry the child.
Then the embryo is embedded and implanted in another woman's womb to be developing into a child.
So if there's an infertility between a couple, there is, or gay or lesbian, right? Then they will take the sperm and the egg and and take that embryo and implant it into the surrogate.
To carry the baby.
To carry the baby. And so these parents are called intended parents, okay, during that process.
Yes.
They're called the intended parents. And so these intended parents, a lot of times, it is an expensive process. We're not talking about, this is not accessible to just any average Joe.
Yeah.
This is the cost of it. I was reading is about $150,000 to $300,000.
I wonder if insurance covers it, if it's a medically needed procedure.
They have to pay for the medical procedure.
Yeah.
These intended parents, they have to pay for the cost of the fee, right? To this, there are these surrogacy firms.
Yeah.
They have to pay a fee to them, and that firm, I guess, pays the surrogate to carry that. Okay. Now, funny thing, there's a property here in Ontario. It's the reason I know about it is because I went to see it when it was for sale, and then when it sold, somebody put like a huge sign. This is on Holt Boulevard. Surrogates wanted. Paying $50,000 to $100,000.
Right, it's like
okay,
As they should, because your body
but the way it was being advertised to me felt very almost like taking advantage of someone in a vulnerable situation. When you're down on your luck, hard on your luck, whatever, somebody may see that sign and say, okay, well, maybe this is what I need to do.
Why else would you do it? You're obviously in need of financial. Otherwise, why would you put your whole body through something if you didn't need the financial?
I would think it should be a higher fee. I would not think like even $100,000 is good enough.
What I'm saying is,
why else would you do it?
Vulnerable. If you're obviously you're doing that kind of a job because you are financially vulnerable.
Not necessarily. There are cases,
sometimes family members do it. That's different.
I know of this Indian family where the daughter could not carry the baby, so the mom did.
Right.
The mom was the surrogate.
Yeah.
So it stayed in the family.
That's different. But I think
well, that's not different. I'm just saying that does happen as well.
Right.
There are situations where surrogacy happens and they didn't even go outside. It might have been a friend, a family member who carried the baby.
But she's talking about the sign and vulnerable
so here's
women.
the thing. Is it a rich person versus a poor person thing? Or is somebody who has wealth taking advantage of this? And how far along should it be? So let me just read off a headline from a story. So this is regarding Meghan Trainor recently posted this photo, and I saw it too. It came up on my feed somehow. Meghan Trainor posted a photo of, she's in like a hospital gown and she's holding a little newborn baby in her eyes. Her eyes are all watery, like she's been crying. She looks worn out. And I'm like, oh, Meghan Trainor had a baby. Oh, poor girl, And
it is,
because it's like it's a process, right? And I'm like, oh, poor girl, but congratulations to her. Yay, Meghan Trainor for having her third or fourth child, because I knew she already had kids. Then you read like the caption underneath and it says, by surrogate. So to me, when I saw that photo, I was like, wow, why do I get a sense of fraud? Like it felt
she's
like
wearing a hospital gown, as if she just delivered a baby.
It did not feel genuine to me when I saw that photo. And so now I was like, so I don't think I should be seeing you in that photo. I should be the surrogate holding the baby. And maybe you can hold their hand too. Because
I think
the person who did the pregnancy comes with all the labor before the labor, right?
Yeah,
like
they
9 months of all of that.
Because they probably take the baby right away from the surrogate, give it to the intended parents, because you don't want to develop
any kind of
attachment.
But it's disingenuous.
No, but that is how
that photo
for
was.
her maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the disingenuous
photo is disingenuous.
The disingenuous part here is you look like you just get labor. You want people to get that
because you're
feeling.
lying down with the hospital gown.
But here the disingenuous part is somebody else did all that work, and then you got to reap the rewards.
Maybe
of
she
it.
should have said thanks to the surrogate mother. I'm able to have this child now, or something like that.
I'm very conflicted about this.
So may I just read this for you? And then I'd love to get your view on it. So it says here, so there's an article in the Telegraph by somebody named Victoria Smith. She wrote, Meghan Trainor's picture lays bare the cruelty of surrogacy. Okay. It is odd that rich people renting the wombs of the poor has been coded as progressive, while any criticism is cast as mean-spirited. So this is obviously an opinion of the journalist who wrote it.
That's interesting, because if it's the renting the wombs of the poor, if you look at it in a desi context, and I was reading about that, there's one person who brought up, it's some medical person, they brought up the bioethics, and they said, I wonder how that works with the karma ethics with, caste system. So if you're poor, you're probably not from the highest caste. Chances are, right? I'll throw in a qualifier. Chances are. So that means if I'm from a Brahmin caste and I'm hiring, my child is in the womb of somebody who's in the lower caste than me, much lower caste than me, how does karma play a part in this? How does your spirituality comes into this? Are you sharing now? Is there an exchange of biology with a caste that's lower than you, and you're not supposed to have? You're not even supposed to share the same water. And here's the sharing of biology.
I'm suspicious that does not happen. The reason I'm suspicious.
You're suspicious that it doesn't happen, or you're suspicious that it does happen.
So I'm suspicious that someone, and again, I'm curious. I tried to look for this. I didn't find anything, but I am suspicious that in India, when they look for surrogate, they're very specific about which caste and all of that.
What if they don't find it? Because the higher caste might be more affluent. They don't need to be renting out their wombs. So what do you do then?
Is it even legal in India? Because I know it's illegal in several countries.
Yeah,
The United States is one of the rare countries where it is legal, and there's no federal oversight or anything to that industry.
Well, isn't Karan Johar's kids, were they born through surrogacy?
I believe
I
so.
would not be surprised.
Yeah,
if they
I
were.
believe they were. I don't know for sure.
I wonder if was the surrogate mother in India, or was it somebody outside India?
They don't look Indian to me.
So they might.
They don't
So
look very
he
Indian.
might have used whoever donated their eggs. So it might have been a random
Donor.
Random donor. Yeah. So those are really interesting points. I feel like in my mind, I feel very conflicted. I can literally have a debate about surrogacy in my head and have opposing points, talking to each other, because to me, it's not a clear cut.
No.
It's bad or it's good. I think like anything else, it's so new that I don't think there's legality is very clear. Ethics are very clear, because obviously there are people who want to have children and they biologically can't. And with all good intentions, they might get a surrogate and have children. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Of course, there's chances of someone getting exploited. I wonder if they're always paid when they need to be. I wonder how these surrogate agencies, what's the legality behind that?
Or if the insurance companies cover the surrogate themselves post-birth. Let's say if there's a post,
an issue.
The stress, whatever postpartum depression, if that comes up, or if there's other physical ailments that happen because of that, I wonder if they are actually covered by insurance companies for their own health reasons. That is all out in the open. We don't know how much coverage they get or how much protection they get.
So Wall Street Journal did a podcast about it, and it was very fascinating. You were talking about the abuse, the pros and cons sort of surrogacy. And obviously there's pros, right? The obvious pros. Where the challenges come in, and where I think people have an issue, is that when you're sort of using that system, yes, when someone is infertile, when a couple can't have children or somebody can't bear a child, this is a great solution, right? This is a wonderful solution. But there are people, when you have people like the rich and wealthy, like Kim Kardashian, Chrissy Teigen, Priyanka Chopra. There's a whole list of them right now. Meghan Trainor, right?
Yeah.
These are people who generally are capable of,
Well,
for all we know,
don't know.
right? That could have kids. Now, for instance, Meghan Trainor said, her first birth, she had problems. The child had to be in neonatal care for a bit. And then second time around, there were some physical and mental issues. And that's why she went for the surrogacy. I guess as an onlooker, I am like, who doesn't have issues when they go through labor? This is part of having a baby. There are risks. There are risks.
No, but maybe she's noticing there were
says-
significant
Who
issues.
says their pregnancy was like a walk in the park?
But she's not talking about pregnancy. She's talking about after pregnancy, her kids had issues. So maybe she's thinking somebody else's body may work better.
Well, this is
Maybe she's questioning
but this
her own
happens
biology.
consistently with people who are wealthy, right?
Okay.
So what the challenge here is, this is something where the reason it becomes sort of unethical in an average person's mind is, here's an average Joe trying to have a baby. They're suffering infertility. They can't have a baby. They can't afford surrogacy because it costs $150,000 to $300,000, maybe more, right? That's what we know. It costs that much money. They can't afford it no matter how badly they want. And they genuinely can't have a baby. There's an fertility involved, not just inconvenience and discomfort involved. Where it becomes an issue is where we see these rich people saying, okay, discomfort. Oh, then, I'm going to have a post-traumatic, whatever it's called.
I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to lose my
deal
finger.
with that.
I've
got a career because it is going to affect
the babyness. Yeah,
it's going to affect your time because there's the pregnancy, then there's the after pregnancy, right? You have to get your body back in shape. We're going to lose time, etc. So I think that's where it becomes an issue for the average person looking at the situation and saying, God, there's got to be some guardrails here.
But here's another ethical point, and that is, if let's say you want a child and you cannot have one, right? Why do you have to do surrogacy? Why, there are hundreds of children who need to be adopted.
Yep.
Why not adopt them? Why not give another child a home that they need? They're
I
out
wonder
there.
if there's any statistics on what is the impact of surrogacy on adoption rates.
Yeah.
I think that I'd be very curious because let's say 20 years ago, this was not an option. And if you wanted a child, if you didn't have one, you would have to adopt one.
Yeah.
So adoption was always the only option if you didn't have a child.
I mean, think about this. They go on and on about, we rescued this dog, we rescued this cat, we rescued whatever.
The rich people rescue dogs and cats, but they don't rescue kids from the kid shelters.
Could you adopt a child? Wouldn't that be a great benefit to the world, right?
And another thing is, like, going back to Meghan Trainor, I'm questioning this, okay? And this is how is having so many children become in vogue now? Like, everyone's like, I need 10 children. You have
This
2
is
children.
my 7th child.
I'm sorry, I don't think Meghan Trainor is going to like what I have to say, but I'm going to say it. And I think this message goes for anyone who already has, for God's sake, 2 children. If you have 1, that's enough, right? But if you have 2, why do you need a 3rd one? Why do you need a 4th one? And I've heard, like, I think it was Kim Kardashian or someone else who already had 4 children. Then they have the 5th one. One of the sisters, don't quote me on which one.
Chloe did it too.
Yeah. So it's like now everyone needs like 10 children to prove that they're a parent. Take care of the children you have. And you know what? There's lots of children out there. If you have so much money, you don't know it's blowing a hole in your pocket or whatever. Go give it to some charity. Take care of some children. That's the message. You don't need one more. And I think a lot of it is ego. It's like, oh, my genes are going to be, spread. There are so many absentee fathers, absentee mothers, parents who couldn't care less about their children, but they had them. And they feel very, very good because biologically they had an offspring.
Doesn't Elon Musk have a whole bunch of children?
I mean, come on.
And the Beckhams have like 4 or 5 children.
How many
also.
children
One of
do
them
we
doesn't want to
need?
talk to them.
Look, how many children do you need to feel like you're somehow like enough? Some people don't have any and they're feeling enough.
But they can
in the
afford
desi
it.
households, though, I've heard like adoption is almost looked down upon. Like,
unfortunately.
whose kid is this?
Yeah,
right.
like-
So they want their own.
Because they have this coon is coon.
It comes from that whole caste. Everything goes back to that caste system mentality. Like, who knows where this kid is coming from? He's gonna pollute all of our.
Coon ka, whatever.
He or she's gonna pollute our whole lineage here, right? So it's that mentality. So they rather go for surrogacy rather than adoption.
Which I just want to point out that, are you guys familiar with superfan Nav Bhatia?
Right, and he's adopted. Tia Bhatia is adopted.
Right.
Daughter.
So,
and hold on. He always says, I just want to bring that up. He always says, "I'm the adopted father." He doesn't say she's my
beautiful.
adopted daughter. He says I'm the adopted father.
Yeah. Which is, and I'm glad they're very open about it because people normally in the desi community, if there has been some adoption, everyone's very hush hush about it.
Yeah.
And I like that they speak up openly about that process and they actually encourage people to do the same.
Yeah.
And it's nice that, you know, there are other things that you can do aside from surrogacy. I'm not opposed to surrogacy. I want to be very clear. I just think that there is some abuse of that, I think. And
I
there
think
should
more
be some
laws.
guardrails.
There needs to be guardrails, definitely, for the safety of the surrogate mother, because it is not womb for rent. I think that's very important. And what you brought up with the sign, that really, like, you know, it concerns me that they're advertising now, and that woman out there down and out on her luck, she's going to be like, well, okay, 50,000. And also I get health care because for the time of the pregnancy, you're going to get health care.
Yeah. And if they have other kids or whatnot, they
there
can
was-
sustain their households.
There was abuse of that system recently. I don't know if you guys remember. It was right here in Southern California. There was a family that had, you know, when child services went there, they had 15 kids in the house, all under the age of 3, all born by surrogates. And the surrogate moms were told generally that the parents, right, the intended parents said, we cannot have kids. That was the impression that they were given. We cannot have kids, so we need to have. So when they got to the end of that pregnancy, that's when they would find out, oh, this person already has kids. I didn't know
Wasn't that the house in the big mansion?
It was in Arcadia.
It was a huge,
like they said, it was a
multi-million-dollar facility.
9-room mansion.
Yes, and there were all these kids living there.
And they were abusing the kids too.
They were abusing the kids.
They were
So it's
abusing
like
the kids,
human
too. They were
farming.
hating them. Yes.
So that brings up another point. You know, could a rich person then be like, okay, well, I'm going to have like bunch of humans.
It's
that
like a
I've created.
business.
So a third of they said the clients for the surrogacy come from outside of the United States because it's not legal in many countries. And so when they come to the United States, they're able to,
Does it
I guess
become
the
their
added
anchor
bonus,
baby?
yeah, the added
Anchor
bonus
baby.
is that it's an anchor baby, that they are U.S. born children. And so I don't know what the intention was of those parents in Arcadia, what they wanted to do with those 15 kids. In fact, those were the 15 kids that they found. They said there were 2 others elsewhere, and the parents would not confirm how many total kids that they had.
They were getting benefits from the government for having
They
all
might do
these
it.
kids, and if they can show that their income not enough income, they're getting benefits for.
But
their
they also
child.
had a surrogacy firm. They had
Oh, I
a
see.
company called Mark Surrogacy.
Oh my gosh,
So
that's
that's,
so
I mean,
I
this is like next level of like
Yes.
dark.
That seems
Dark.
like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Very dark.
Like maybe
Yeah, I think
some
we
kind
should
of
send a
abusive
message to the
situation.
world through this program that, you know, adopt. There are foster kids. There are kids who need to be adopted. Adopt them. I've taught many foster kids in my classrooms. They're lovely children, but they do get changed from house to house to house to house. So sometimes they get a good placement. Sometimes it might not be a very good placement. So it's kind of heartbreaking to see your student then say, oh, next month they're moving to some other city. So
And
they're
we're
gonna
not
be taken
opposed to
care of.
surrogacy. I mean, I'm not
No,
opposed
we're not
to
opposed to
surrogacy.
surrogacy, but what I'm saying is you don't have to spend so much money on doing all this if you can simply go and adopt a child who needs to be adopted.
I think at the end of the day, the reason like people don't like seeing stars doing surrogacy is it's another thing that the rich got that the average person could not get access to.
Yeah,
it's
obviously.
one more thing. It's like, dang it, you know? They always are a step ahead. Yeah, I think
we're
that's
never
what
going
like
to catch up with
upsets
them.
everybody.
Hey, if somebody
Yeah.
is spending 25,000, 30,000 on a purse, you know,
You're
they're
not
not,
gonna
even
catch up.
blinking
They're
an eye
spending
to do.
$300,000 on a purse. What are you
Okay.
talking about?
Yes, excuse me, that was last week. So
Yeah.
you're right, $300,000 on a purse. Surrogacy is just another thing. You know, for them,
Surrogacy
they're
is
not-
much cheaper than their purses,
Yeah,
actually.
exactly.
Listen, on a lighter note, on a lighter note, I don't know if you've been on TikTok lately. There is a song I want to share with you.
Okay.
That just refuses to die off.
Kind of like Gaddi Red Challenger, similar level.
I think so. Maybe it could be. Gaddi Red Challenger could be a good one for the future. But Mundiya to bach ke rahi.
Oh yeah, that's not going away anytime soon.
I could not believe that I saw high schoolers doing a dance trend to Mundiya to bach ke rahi. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, I have. Because I spend more time on TikTok than I like. So that stuff makes it into my feed.
It pulls you in.
It pulls me in.
pulls you in. And so Mundiya to bach ke rahi. I mean, freaking, I've been listening to that song since I was driving to college. I used to listen to that song in my car. I think I probably had a cassette. I don't think I even had a CD at that time.
Wasn't it like 2001, something,
It was
2004?
1998 that the song came out.
Okay.
And that makes sense because I was at UC Riverside at that time. And that long drive, I'd be listening to Punjabi MC. It was such a good song. And then what's great is that I guess here's the beauty of that song. It reinvents itself every few years. Okay?
Yeah.
We know the original.
Yep.
Then in about 2002, there's the Jay-Z version, right? And then it became popular. So going back to the Jay-Z version, the Jay-Z version came out. Half of India wasn't even familiar with Mundiya to bach ke rahi before that. Okay, so it's on the global stage. It's not even popular in India yet, but because of that, it became popular in India, right? And then of course after that, it's been in clubs. We've seen it. I think it was about a few months ago. Lauren Sanchez was dancing to Mundiya to bach ke rahi and Jeff Bezos was recording her. So I was like, oh, well, there's
Even
Mundiya to bach ke rahi.
even the Kardashians, when they went to Ambani's wedding, Kardashians were dancing to Mundiya to bach
You know,
ke
I
rahi.
remember this time. This was around 2003, maybe. And we took a trip to Mexico. We just basically over Tijuana. And we were in a taxi. And guess what played? Mundiya to bach ke rahi. In that taxi. So this taxi driver who didn't speak any English, we didn't speak any Spanish, but we're listening to this music and we're all just having fun. And I remember at that time, because that wasn't that common. Now we're a little bit more, we're used to Bhangra music, Punjabi music being pretty international. At that time, that wasn't the case. And we didn't quite get it. We're like, oh, he must like, or he must have found this song. I think it was a recording too. And then I've been to Mexico a few times. And every time I've been to Mexico, you go to a club, for sure they're playing some kind of Punjabi music. And 9 out of 10 times
And
it's Mundiya to bach ke rahi.
I was in Spain, and we went to sort of a club thing. And everybody
You
was
went to a club.
Club.
Not a club thing.
She doesn't want to admit that
She went to a club, everyone.
You went clubbing.
fine, whatever.
Okay, you
She
went to a club.
clubbing.
Yes, I went to a club. And then they were playing this song.
Mundiya to bach ke rahi.
And all of a sudden, we were dancing with like Latin music. And all of a sudden there was like Mundiya to bach ke rahi. And I was like, whoa, this is so cool. So everybody was dancing with it. Everybody.
Yeah,
It doesn't
everyone
matter. So
knows the
people know.
song. Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, this song, the tune, the little melody that starts ding a ding a ding, it's become, a lot of the racist people use that now to target, when they want to mock people of other
something.
cultures,
Yeah.
they use that. So unfortunately they are, but that doesn't mean we're going to stop listening to that song.
Because it is our music. Here's
Yeah.
the thing. This is very interesting because I think the song did come out in 1998 or something. My God, counting backwards. How many years is that?
That would
so
be
you got
27.
28 years old.
No,
28.
Here's the thing.
27.
28.
28.
I would be
28.
curious. I would be curious if there's any other song that's that enduring. That after 28 years is still playing in clubs.
Well, wasn't there
Worldwide.
another song we were thinking? Oh, ho, 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 ho. That song
But
has
not
been...
not
that's
to that level.
international.
Not to
No,
that
that
level.
one, it's becoming international.
So I
even
think
that
ho
one.
ho ho ho. I would say maybe like number 10,
No,
number
I think it's
15,
number 2 right
but
after
number
Mundiya.
1 song worldwide. I'm talking about song, general, any
and
language,
worldwide, any language.
even
That's
the
true.
Latin songs,
Yeah.
any language. This is the song. It's not just that people have known about this song. It's that it's number 1, and it brings the same energy every time. Nobody says, "Oh, there it
There we
is
go again.
Oh, well, that I've heard that. I actually do that sometimes because I'm like, I've been listening to this since 1990s. Do people not realize how old the song is?
People
And it
act like
hasn't
they just
changed.
heard it
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Well,
about
it's
this
been
song.
like on the top, like it's charted top in many countries.
Okay, so that song, as much as I love it, it's still not my favorite Punjabi MC song. He did some other good songs that nobody freaking remembers.
I don't even know why this song. I cannot understand why this song is so popular.
Mirza.
Yeah.
Mirza?
Mirza, kade na ranja, dar kan padwanda, kade na hi.
I have no idea.
That is the almost, okay, you got to go listen to it. That is one of the best.
Kangana.
It gives
Kangana
me,
one of his
no, that's Dr.
Kangana
Zeus.
Oh, okay.
That gives me goosebumps when you
I'm
listen
sure
to
it
that
would be
song.
good, but I haven't
think
heard
it's
it.
Sukshinder. I can't sing it for you, unfortunately. So my
Well,
apologies.
if you can't sing it, it's not that great of a song.
It is a beautiful song. There's Mirza 1, there's Mirza 2, but Mirza 1 was one of the best ones. I think that came in an album after Mundiya To Bach Ke Rahi. That was like the second album right afterwards. That is a good one. Tol Jagiro Da. Like there's so many good songs.
Tol Jagiro Da
That
is
is a vibe.
another
That song, when it comes on, everyone just like you. There's no one. If someone doesn't like that song, I really challenge their ability to hear music because that song is really good.
And I don't know if people remember, for those who grew up in the 1990s, the thing that Punjabi MC did, so Punjabi MC and kind of Jazzy B kind of came out at the same time, although Punjabi MC is from England and Jazzy B is from Canada. They brought out this sort of like very folk sound. Yeah. Right? This very like sort of folk.
Like Tol Jagiro Da, it's very folksy.
It's very folk vocals. And before that, right, there was that British Bhangra, which was a lot more
reggae style.
Modern.
different
A little bit more
reggae. They
modern.
had variety of instruments. It was very creative. I loved it. I miss it.
That's my favorite.
I
still.
miss it.
That's
But
my
I
favorite.
think that there was kind of a transition that happened right about that time. And that's when everybody's like, maybe I want to listen to Kuldeep Manik again.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's very fascinating, that how much Punjabi MC had influence over everybody. I'm so proud, though. I'm so proud to be Punjabi. When I listen to that song, I'm
my
like, that's
gosh.
our song. What are you talking about?
Punjabi
that's our
aage
song.
hoye.
Yep.
Yeah, right? There you go. There you go. Well, we'll leave everybody on that positive note. Have a great week.
Yay, bye.